Good evening, everybody. I'm Casey Reginald Jr.
It's your man J-Dub in the building.
Joel Swisher, a.k.a. Jay Swish in the house.
Welcome to UnderDawg Sportz. Welcome to the show, everyone. On this, what are we in? Day 10 of No Sports. Day 11. No, today's Tuesday. So we like day 12. We're actually day 12, No Sports. No real sports anyway. No real sports. Let's get into the show, though. There is sports news. However, we got the Olympics postponing for the first time ever in a non-wartime. How impactful is it that the Olympics is actually going to postpone their games?
I think it's really impactful for the simple fact is you're not just talking about American sports or team sports. You're talking about a lot of individual sports affected by this. You're talking about your track stars, the GOAT, if I want to call it that, now that Michael Phelps is retired, Simone Biles, as far as Olympic sports is concerned. All those people are affected. What's crazier is I'm surprised they didn't have this announcement sooner, because the fact is Tokyo in Japan was the second country to report this virus post China. So I kind of had a feeling this was going to happen anyway, but now that they made the announcement official, it's really bad. Now, the question is will they push this to 2021? And this will coincide with the Winter Olympics. So basically you have the Winter Olympics and then 3 months later it'll be the summer. Or will this be out for 4 years? Joe, what you think?
Yeah, I think they'll push it to 2021. I think the Winter Olympics are actually in 2022, so it'll be a case with the Olympics 2 years in a row in 2021 and 2022. But man, just think of just the logistics and all the training that these athletes did. Some of these athletes have trained all their lives just to participate in something like this, and so it's. Yeah, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for all the athletes, especially the ones that are actually going to be on the big stage for the first time as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like I said, this is actually only the third time in history that the Olympics have been, or the other 2 times they were canceled. I'm sorry, 3 times. So this is the 4th. The other 3 times they were canceled due to world wars. World War I canceled it once, and World War II it was twice. This is the first time where there's not a major conflict in the world that this is being canceled or postponed right now. I think that is something that obviously something that will go in the history books. As you talked about logistics, these athletes are going to be a year older. They were set to peak this summer, not next year. This is what they trained for, and their peak should be this summer when these games were scheduled. Now they have to postpone that until next summer?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a long way from now too.
Yeah, I mean that's a year later. So are we going to use the same athletes, the guys that qualify for these games, don't have to requalify? And now, again, these guys are not going to be at their peak. This is going to be impactful. This is probably going to be the weirdest Olympics ever if it happens in 2021. That's not a guarantee right now. So
that's true. Yeah, that's true. It's not guaranteed.
So I think it's really imperative that everyone start taking this virus serious so we can get back to our realities, because people aren't going to graduate. Athletes aren't going to be at their peak for the Olympics. This is affecting every part of our lives. What the guys wanted me to start off today with is Cam Newton, which is news in itself. Cam Newton, after 9 seasons in Carolina, an MVP trophy, taking his team to the Super Bowl, has been cut by the Carolina Panthers.
Here's the question a lot of people are saying is, well, how did he just get cut versus traded? And my answer is this. Y'all knew y'all were going to get rid of him. So why am I going to go ahead and waste draft picks to trade for him, or I can just wait for you to cut him? Especially once they signed P.J. Walker, basically we might as well call him the XFL MVP, because at that point, Houston was 5-0 with 5 more games left, and it's pretty much a solid deal. But once you sign P.J. Walker, who had a relationship with the coach, you already brought in Teddy Bridgewater, and people still fail to realize that he's got Will Grier last year, which was Big 12, all Big 12 quarterback. He was right behind Kyler Murray. They was pretty much sold up at quarterback. So if I was any team, I wouldn't budge. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to release him anyway, so we'll just wait. And lo and behold, they waited and they released him before Cam had to get a roster bonus. So, it's crazy impact, though, as far as for him to get jettisoned like that is crazy.
So here's my thing on Cam Newton. We all knew it was coming. As far as why they couldn't find a trade partner, quite simply, they weren't going to carry $21 million in dead money on their roster. That just wasn't going to happen. Like, you're not going to have a $21 million backup quarterback, and I'm not going to give you a draft pick. I'm going to make you cut him. And that's what the league did. And now we have a former MVP that's been cut. I think Peyton Manning was the last time that happened.
Yeah.
Who's been cut and is a free agent. If I'm the Colts, I'm kind of kicking myself right now by rushing to Phillip Rivers, because this was going to happen. And I guess maybe you thought that was an upgrade over Brissett, but I would have sure as hell preferred Cam Newton over Phillip Rivers. I think you're wrong, Justin. I think he is going to end up in L.A., and then the Chiefs might have something to worry about with those Chargers.
Here's the thing. I agree with you on a certain note where they could be in L.A. He could be, but there's somebody out there that does not want their starting quarterback right now.
That's true.
And Cam Newton is a valuable piece. And I'm sorry. L.A., yeah, okay, you got Hunter Henry, who could be, I call him a .5. He's not a full weapon. And then you got Keenan Allen, and then you got Eckler. So that's a nice little squad going on. And you got Anthony Lynn, who's the head coach, who's a brother who basically is playing for the job right now. They gave him a 2-year extension. So as we know, just like in Pittsburgh, the 2-year extension for a black coach is you better ball your ass off or we're going to fire you one way or another. I honestly, for the life of me, I keep saying this in my head, and I think I've said this out loud. I really see Bill Belichick going to go grab Cam Newton. He hasn't been on them. The only thing they grabbed was Brian Hoyer, which was, the career backup, and pretty much in my eyes is going to be the next offensive coordinator for that squad once Josh McDaniels leaves. He's kind of like the Kyle Orton type guy. He's not a good quarterback, but he's a great offensive mind.
Is he a great offensive mind?
Well, he's actually coached. He's actually had game plans. Like, he was coaching when he was in Indy. He was actually, they called him an assistant coach helping out Jacoby Brissett. So that's why I was thinking, you bring him in, he could be the next offensive coordinator. Like I said, like Kellen Moore, not Kyle Moore, not say Kyle Orton. Kellen Moore did in Dallas. Bring him in. And whoever your next quarterback is, whether it's Jacoby Brissett, because he is going to be out there in about a couple of days, or Cam Newton. Cam, I like better, but I wouldn't be shocked if they even did for Jacoby Brissett. But for this topic alone, I just don't see Cam in L.A.
Joe?
Well, let me ask you all this. What do you think about this notion? I can't remember if it was Schefter or Rappaport. They're suggesting that that Cam Newton and James Winston likely wouldn't even be a starter next year. I mean, they might end up on some team, but they probably wouldn't even be starters. Like Like, could y'all see that scenario like that happening for one or both of those guys?
Jameis,
One of those guys,
no.
yeah, but the other one, there's no chance in West Hell. Like Jameis, yes, I can see that if he can't find a job, which I'd still find that hard to believe. Whoever does not, if the Patriots get Cam, then I think Jameis is going to be a backup. If the Chargers get Cam, I think Jameis is going to end up in New England.
I agree with that same scenario.
Yeah.
Or there is a wild card too. Remember, both of these dudes could just be lingering out there till the draft. But think about it like this: crazy scenario. You know, I'm always a crazy scenario theory. I'm not the conspiracy theory brother like my man. Shout out to Omar. But what if this happened? What if Washington picks up Tua? Because right now they don't have a number one. They have Alex Smith coming off of a damn near career-ending injury, not so. You got Haskins, who is not necessarily Ron's guy. And then you brought in Kyle Allen, who was Ron's guy technically by default because Cam was hurt and Will Greer wasn't ready. But what if they do go after Cam or Jameis or even draft Tua? Think about that with the Redskins. Because I'm sorry, I hate to tell you this, I'm not necessarily sold on Haskins yet because the team did not want Haskins, just the owner did. And every time the owner just wants the player, it never works out.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Try Vince Young in Tennessee. The owner wanted him, the coach didn't, and ultimately it was a bust on both. Where the coach was fired and the player never was the same again.
But this coach was already fired. So I think what's the coach's name? Rivera.
Ron Rivera.
I think he knew the quarterback situation going there. I think he decided to go get Kyle Allen as a backup plan if Haskins is not that guy. And to kind of push Haskins because he kind of liked Kyle Allen. So I think you can't give up on you can't give up on Haskins after 1 year where he didn't even start the full year. He got hurt to finish the year and wasn't the starter till like week 8.
And he wasn't in shape.
So I don't think you can give up on him in 1 year. I'm sorry. I think that's crazy. Wasn't he their first round pick last year?
Yeah, but it's happened before. Look at Jimmy Clausen with, let's bring that up, Carolina. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Clausen years ago was Carolina's number one pick at quarterback. He had an okay season. The next year was Cam Newton. He was the number one pick. Jimmy Clausen is now irrelevant. It's not to say it's not impossible to happen. Hell, we've seen it where two quarterbacks got picked in the same draft.
I'm just asking. You made it like the owner left, the coach left. And I think when Dan Snyder was interviewing, he told him, we got to give him at least 1 more year. Like
but it also could be a factor. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can't. I think the fans of Washington to go crazy. Like especially if you cut him after 1 year and he actually turns into something. Hell, I would think Bill Belichick is hoping that happens. Like if you cut him, because I think Bill Belichick could definitely scoop up and save Dwayne Haskins' career if he's cut, because you've got to consider him a bust if he's cut.
Very true.
After the first year, like that's crazy. He didn't do that bad. Just cut him.
I just don't feel it. The quarterback position in D.C. right now is still up for grabs. Because Cam could be a notion. Tua could be a notion. Haskins could still be the notion. You never know.
Bro, they're still paying Alex Smith, and he's not cheap. And I don't think you can. I don't think he's not retiring. He wants to play.
For what?
Because he wants to play. He's a football player.
Yeah. Well.
Like, that was a gruesome injury, though. That was a gruesome injury he got. I don't know if he can bounce back.
I mean, but he wants to play, and he says he's getting healthy. And unless he just changes his mind, He ain't retiring unless they tell him there's no chance he can play, and no one's told him that. That's not a contract you just kick over. There's a lot of guaranteed money in that contract.
No, it's not. Not
Yes,
his
it was.
contract. He only gets a. No, I'm saying they restructured his contract when he got hurt last year. I was looking at the dead money. There ain't that much dead money on his contract for DC to lose. When it was with y'all, yeah, but what happened is they restructured his contract and all his money went up front from last year. Now, last year, yeah, he got paid. This year, he could probably get cut and no one would say anything. I think he gets the roster bonus after March 23rd or March 20 or something.
Really?
Either March or April. And then after that, he may be good.
Okay, he's got a $5 million bonus. He's got a base of 19. If you cut him, he's 10-8 against the cap.
So 8 versus
No,
last year, I think.
10-8. $10 million.
Okay.
Against the cap. If you cut him.
We just watched the team cut a guy that had 19. I'm saying it's not impossible.
I'm looking at a different team. Daniel Snyder is not gonna just cut him. I mean, he would try to probably coax him into retirement, but he's not gonna cut him.
As far as Cam is concerned, it's going to be interesting where he goes. I just don't. LA is a good market. I just don't see him in that division. I don't know why. It's hard for me to. I would love to see the Patrick Mahomes Cam Newton matchup, but I just don't see him there for whatever reason. I already told you my conspiracy theory. I wish Atlanta would trade Matt Ryan and bring Cam in. I told you that.
Now that would be fun, because that's what should actually happen.
Old Atlanta.
That's what should actually happen.
I mean,
but they ain't gonna do it.
Right, hear me out. I know it sounds crazy. We talked about this last week, but Joe, you weren't on the call. So let's just hypothetically. I know this is not even in Madden talk, but what happens if you would trade Matt Ryan to the Patriots, get a draft pick, because the Patriots never draft in the first round anyway, so they'll give up the pick.
But Matt Ryan?
Cam Newton.
They got a pretty nice pick. They were like 8. What would they didn't that great. They got a 28?
The Patriots are in the playoffs, bro, so they gonna get the 28. Come on now. If you watch the draft, you know the Patriots trade out every year.
Well,
they don't keep their pick.
I'm just saying.
They trade out. I think last year was the first year in a long time they stayed in the first round. Other than that, they always just trade their pick. They're like, we don't need it. We're gone.
They need a quarterback now. And I think part of the thing that with Cam is no one knows if he's healthy.
Right. But I'm just saying, if you was a Patriots, wouldn't you go after him? If Atlanta's willing to give him up, and at this point, I really think they're stacked. Matt Ryan is only going to do but so much more. Yeah, it's kind of over. It's like, all right, well, Matt Ryan, you're only going to get this, and this. It's nothing really new. A breath of fresh air and a change. Atlanta is the only place I know that they've had several times where they've had a black quarterback, so let's try it there. I would try it, but then again, you know what? Bill Belichick may just try Cam. Shit, why not? Jamie.
Why not? That'd be a weapon he hasn't had.
Yeah, at this point, he's not going to draft a quarterback that is technically almost starting over. Or Jacoby. There's 3 black quarterbacks out there that I would not be shocked would be in the New England uniform. The only other person that I've seen on the blogs talking, and I hope it does not happen, is Joe Flacco to New England. I think that would be a complete waste, and Belichick's career is done.
I think that's something he'd do.
In my opinion.
I just don't see a brother in New England.
They had one. They had just
yeah.
They had Brissett, who started because of why? No. Why did he start?
Well, we obviously Tom was suspended.
Okay, that's the only reason he was there. Like, come on now. They'll have him for a backup.
Keep it real. Have you ever seen at least that's a chance of starting. There's still NFL teams that never had a brother start day one. They've come in and started, further down the line, but they've never started day one. At least Jacoby Brissett did have starts where Belichick gave him the green light. Although it may be a short tenure, it's still, remember, Belichick was willing to trade Tom Brady even after they had traded Jimmy Garoppolo. So he had to have some faith in Jacoby Brissett. If he's willing to trade Tom, which was absolutely crazy at that point, and you already traded Jimmy G, why not? I think you don't have like a hip hop type brother in New England. You got probably a more model citizen, a Dak Prescott type personality in New England. But yeah, you're not gonna get Michael Vick in his prime days.
I don't see it. If it's not like a Patrick Mahomes or a Deshaun Watson, I just don't see it. Like, I think if they were going to go that route, it'd have to be one of the top quarterbacks in the game. And none of those guys qualify for it right now. I mean, Cam has been that before because he was an all-around football player, but he hasn't been that in years.
But you said it best yourself. What about if Jameis still had 5,000 yards, although he had 36 turnovers? Someone like Bill can fix that easy. I'm just saying. I wouldn't be shocked if Jameis would be in a Patriots uniform. Now, the pressure will be on him like no other because whoever goes behind Tom Brady, this is the problem. That's like Corey Benjamin back in the days having to go behind when Jordan retired. You don't want that smoke. I mean, that's going to be the biggest problem in far as New England's concerned, is you're going to have so much pressure. And if it's on a brother, his leash is thin as hell, but it's not impossible to take it. Cam Newton could probably do it because he's an MVP, because people know him. He's a household name by NFL standards. So why not have Cam versus, I mean, Jacoby's not a household name. Jameis kind of is a household name, but not really. So,
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Cam has definitely asserted himself as the number one guy in the free agent market, period. Like, he's the top free agent right now. I just don't know where he ends up. In other news, another big cut today is the Patriots have moved on from Steven Gostkowski, their kicker, for 14 years and 3 Super Bowls. 3 Super Bowl wins, I should say. From cutting him, letting Tom Brady walk, and letting Brian Hoyer compete for the starting job. Is this a rebuilding time for the Patriots? Are they looking to find a young quarterback to start over?
When you get rid of Tom Brady, you definitely starting to rebuild. You still got Belichick there, but the deal was going to come eventually. And Gostkowski, he got hurt last year too, so we didn't see much of him, for most of the season. So yeah, they. I don't know if the Patriots would use that word rebuild, but it kind of looks that way now.
Yeah. I mean, the Gurkowski, or however you pronounce his name, there's all a bunch of skis up there. I've seen it coming. Remember, this is the same guy several years ago, now over a decade ago, who had one of the most clutch kickers in the NFL and cut him too, and Adam Vinatieri. I mean, after the fact, Adam still went to and won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, but that just tells you too. Yeah, that just tells you something that, like, hey, I've heard an analogy in football where they say good teams are always two years ahead of their time. So they must know that the kicker is probably, and I can't say his name, so I'm just calling him the kicker. The kicker is probably on his last leg, no pun intended, but, time to go, and they could probably find someone much cheaper.
Well, I agree with you when you say good teams or great teams or dynasties are always 2 years ahead. I'm bringing that back to why he attempted to trade Tom Brady 3 years ago, because now he's up a creek without a paddle, and his only paddle right now is Brian Hoyer. They were not really expecting Tom Brady to leave. I think he kind of threw a curveball in their plans. Yeah, because they don't seem to have had a contingency plan.
Well, here's the thing. There was a report that came out that they were trying to trade Tom 2 years ago to San Fran instead of Jimmy G, and it pissed Tom off to no other. And ever since then, it's pretty much been bad blood between him and Bill. So I think they may have known, without Tom being verbally vocal about it, that this was going to happen. Plus, they said after they lost in the playoffs this year, Tom had to talk to anybody in management. It was strictly just talking to the, his friends on the team, Edelman, and so on and so forth. But nobody in management even spoke to Tom. Even to the point, I heard there was rumors that he didn't even have an exit interview for the end of the season, which most players do. It's like almost mandatory. So maybe they didn't know. I think Bill kind of wanted it. I think Kraft was the one that thought he can go ahead and save this ship. Because this is a lot of money he's going to lose if New England starts to suck.
But with no plan, like none?
Again, like I said, Kraft, I think, didn't have the plan. I think Bill has the plan already.
What is that?
We don't know. Come on, man. You talk about the most secretive coach in NFL, if not all the sports. You think he's going to go ahead and show his hand? Hell no.
He needs a quarterback.
We're going to find out.
Yeah,
I don't know who the quarterback's going to be, but Lord knows, I hope it ain't any of the guys that are out there right now. I'm not sold on 100%.
Joe Flacco in New England fits
the mold of what a New England quarterback looks like, or a person from New England. But Joe Flacco is done.
I'm just saying
Joe Flacco
he fits.
lost his spot to a rookie. He's done. He's dumpster juice now. Don't even try to kick that tire.
I agree with that.
I'm just saying he fits. Speaking of quarterbacks, your boy threw today. Was it the first time since hip surgery?
Yeah, sure.
You got it.
Tua look good, dude. I mean, mind you, he's only in the gym. He's doing drills and everything, but I think he has to show out now because he has no pro day. He did do throwing drills at the combine, but now that the NFL pretty much is on cease and desist mode too for the most part, all Tua can do is be in the gym and get filmed and hopefully the scouts sit. I like Tua. I was always I won't say a Tua fan because I felt bad that he unseated the local kid from Texas from Channelview, but it's a good start. I still think he should take a redshirt year in a sense. If he's ready, this ain't the year. Just have him sit for a couple, sit for this year and then go for whatever. The most teams that's going to pick him are going to be down in the dumps anyway.
I definitely agree that the team that get him would be down in the dumps. So you said he needs to sit for a year, so there's no chance that he overtakes Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the number 1 overall pick.
No, there's no chance. What do you think, Joe? Because I don't see them. I have no way in hell I see him taking over Burrow. That ain't happening.
Oh no! And I think Burrow's more slated to start his rookie year than Tua. Anyway, hip surgery is nothing to play around with either. So, like you mentioned, Justin, he threw today, but anybody can look good in the gym or on the field, and throwing the funk, and there's no lineman running after the kid. So, yeah, he should. I agree with you. He should definitely sit this rookie year out, heal some more, work hard, and then get ready to play in 2021.
So here's my question: if I'm on the clock and Cincinnati is on the clock, the best way I can put this is, to me, this seems to be Mitchell Trubisky and Patrick Mahomes all over again. I don't think Joe Burrow is that guy. I don't care what anybody says unless you surround him with as much talent that is that much better than everyone else like he was at LSU. I just don't think he's that good. So are you going to take him now because he's healthy and let Tua go to the Dolphins or someone else? And that guy, and next year he turns in the MVP season. Is it worth getting somebody out there to lose 10 games this year? or is it worth the guy that you feel like has the best chance to be dynamic in this league?
All right. So there's a couple things that's a heavy loaded question. Couple things. One, if you're going to over Burrow, you're going to injury versus the MVP right now. That's a huge factor because right now, since he is clamoring for someone to change the regime, change the culture, change everything.
But they're going to lose 10 to 12 games anyway.
In their eyes, they think they can do better. Think about it like this. Lewis, no, hear me out. Lewis. Okay, Andy Dalton. Who was the running back? Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah, Bernard, yeah.
AJ Green.
Who ain't going to play?
Hear me out. Lewis, done. He's fired. AJ Green you keep him because it's not a heavy wide receiver market as far as free agency is concerned. You want whoever you draft to have a weapon, although AJ Green should not be that weapon.
He ain't going to play.
Joe Burrow, a couple factors with Joe Burrow. One, 6-year senior. So he has the tenure. 2, just came off a national championship. That's high. 3, Ohio kid. One thing Cincy does like is they like local players. Lord forbid, I have no idea except for Dalton. Dalton was the exception. Because people start to realize although Carson Palmer was in Cali, his parents were from Ohio. And they were Cincinnati fans growing up until they moved to Cali.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Go for it.
So you're going to let Andy Dalton walk to draft a younger Andy Dalton?
They don't see Andy Dalton. Now, here's the funny thing. Mostly every mock draft comparison is comparing him to Andy Dalton.
Oh.
But I'm not saying this is don't get it misconstrued. I would take Tua.
I know.
But the fact of the matter is you got a guy that came from hip surgery. And we all know any NFL player that's had hip surgery. We can go back even to Bo Jackson.
Come on, Bo Jackson's a running back. Tua's not.
Tua runs.
Okay, but he's not a running back.
In that area. But he runs, and he can get hit in that same area. You're not understanding the point. He runs.
No, I am. I'm understanding the point. He's a mobile quarterback, but he's not going to be a running back, though. And Bo Jackson could not come back because his whole job was to run the ball. At least half of Tua's job is to throw the ball. At least half. And I'm thinking they probably want him to throw the ball 90% of the time and run maybe 10.
Yeah, I would do more. You're in the wrong division if you think you're going to stay like a statue.
I didn't say the statue. He can still scramble. But what they would prefer is 90-10. But he's going to scramble. It's the NFL. You have to scramble, especially if you throw the ball a lot.
Plus, it also depends on what that coach's mindset is. Remember, they got a young coach. You know, they jumped on that Sean McVay young coach scenario. I mean, it worked out for Sean McVay and it worked out for the guy at Green Bay.
The guy at Green Bay inherited a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right, but it didn't work for the guy in Cincinnati. And technically, if you really want to get technical, it worked out for Kyle, because Kyle Shanahan's not that old. He's actually younger than us. And it worked out one way or another. So with that being said, I just think since he's going for the glamour look now versus going for what they're worrying about 2 or 3 years from now, and we've seen teams do it all the time. If you look back, so the Texans have drafted David Carr. The reason why, because he was ready, he was a 4-year starter, or they could have drafted somebody else.
Was he ready? Because he didn't look ready when he was in the NFL.
Oh my God! No. He wasn't ready to get hit like that.
Well,
so when you 5 years in the first 5 years, he still has the record for most sacks. 5 years. Hell, the Texans are known for giving up sacks as a team. Look at Deshaun. Deshaun was about to break that record if it wasn't for the fact his ass was like, let me just throw the way ball. I really think that the Tua deal, because the next 4 teams after it also take Tua also, with the Redskins, with Detroit, with Miami, with LA, whatever you want to call it, all of them could take Tua. And for whatever reason, it's either they ready, is the team willing to take a redshirt year on this kid or go for it? Some teams are not willing to take a redshirt year, so they're going to go for who's available now to start my engine, to start my team up. So that's the issue. That's what Cincy is.
And I'm telling
Cincy's
you,
like,
if you're looking at what the world champions did,
you keep comparing them to the world champions, but every team has a different philosophy.
I get it, but if I have Joe Burrow, who I think his ceiling is Matt Ryan, or I have somebody who I think his ceiling is Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, if I give him a year to get healthy.
But technically, Lamar didn't start his first year either.
Exactly. If I give him a year to get, or 10 games to get healthy. Or do I take this guy that at worst he's Mitchell Trubisky, at best he's Matt Ryan?
All right. I'll say something, but go ahead, Joel, because I got a comment for that one.
Oh, well, I kind of wanted to backtrack. I don't know if it's going to mess up the flow or anything as far as the Bengals. But what if the Bengals stayed local and got Chase Young, but they decided to bring in Cam Newton?
Ooh,
because we all know Chase Young's going to be either top 5 pick. Some people have him as the best player in the draft. So you can still kind of stay local with the Ohio kid, and then possibly bring in Cam Newton. Is that? I know that's just a weird scenario. But I've seen a couple people suggest it on social media.
It sounds like a great idea.
Going that route or not.
I would do that.
In a heartbeat.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I wanted to say about the situation with when you're comparing they should add Mitch. When you compare Patrick, Burrow, and Jackson, remember who came out early? Jackson and Mahomes. They sat that year, but technically that was their senior year. This kid is a 6-year senior. So he has no option but to be ready. Tua technically can sit too because Tua is a true junior. Him sitting a year, this is technically his senior year. Again, sometimes it's better. I mean, in a lot of cases coming in the NFL, the guys that are most ready are the guys that actually were there for 4 years. There's exceptions to the rule like Cam Newton coming out early or who started from day one, but then you have your Mitchell Trubisky, who was a junior, who has only had 1 good year, and I really think they drafted him over height versus ability.
Apparently,
it was one of those things. Mitchell should have really been sitting, but the fact of the matter is, what does Cincinnati have right now? Andy Dalton's injury prone, and pretty much the fans hate him. At least when you had Jackson was behind Flacco. People still kind of like Flacco. Mahomes, Alex Smith was still a very capable quarterback. He was, 2 years removed from a Pro Bowl. So he was still capable. There is nothing capable in Cincy. There's nothing capable in Miami right now. Fitzpatrick, you're right. So it's all or nothing with Burrow. So you might as well start him from the gate. He's been around long. Remember, he is the same age as Mahomes and Jackson, and he's just not coming out of college versus these two dudes have been there 2 and 3 years. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'd never compare Burrow to either of those guys. That would never happen. I would compare Tua to those guys, and that's the whole point. If I'm a GM, that's what I do. I just don't. I can't find it in my heart to say that Matt Ryan is this guy's ceiling, and this other guy's ceiling is Patrick Mahomes-ish, Lamar Jackson-ish. If I give him a year, I'm not going to win. I'm not going to the playoffs, even with 7 damn teams going to the playoffs this year in the division, in the conference. So, I'm sorry. I'm going to go with the guy that has the opportunity to be dynamic in this league. And if I flame out, I flame out. But that's the guy I feel like has got the better opportunity to be dynamic. And there's an opportunity for him not to be dynamic and not to be good. But if his ceiling is Mahomes and this other guy's ceiling is Ryan, I'm sorry. To me, it just doesn't make sense when I'm not going to the playoffs any damn way. Or I do what Joel said.
Yeah.
Those are my two options. I would do what Joel said, or I would do get the guy that has the opportunity to be great instead of the guy that's going to be really good if he's really good, if that's his ceiling. Other news.
You do also know it's Cincinnati, though. So
I know, and I know what's going to happen. I know you're right.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, I know you're right, but this is I got to give you a counter argument. This is a show, right?
Yeah, I agree. So I'm just saying, it is Cincinnati.
In other news today, Emmanuel Sanders to the Saints. I think that happened yesterday. Seems like. With Emmanuel Sanders in New Orleans, along with Malcolm Jenkins going back to New Orleans, does this catapult the Saints above the San Francisco 49ers as the top team or the team to beat in the NFC?
I'm going to say yes for 5,000 because they needed a number 2 last year in New Orleans. It pretty much was Malcolm Thomas, and that's it. What's my man's name? Smith wasn't consistent. Ted Ginn wasn't consistent.
Ted Ginn is never going to be consistent.
Right, and I mean his best consistent year was the year they went to the Super Bowl with Cam, and then after that he stunk it up again. But remember, this is the same team that brought in Antonio Brown after all this chaos. Still brought him in for a workout, which shined, and they were like, "Oh, you got your camera crew, and you're making a rap album. Nah, we ain't gonna do it." So they needed wide receiver. Emmanuel Sanders is the perfect number 2. He always been the number 2, whether it was in Pittsburgh when he was number 2 with Mike Wallace, and then number 2 with AB. Then he was number 2 when he went to Denver with Brandon Marshall and Demarius. I don't know what he was in San Fran. I mean, I really didn't pay attention to the receivers that they just kept running the ball. But I think this would actually boost him up a lot more with him going to San Francisco. I mean, him going to New Orleans. I think our team gets a little bit better.
So first, let me pay respects. This dude is going into his 11th year as a wide receiver, and he's been pretty damn consistent throughout his career. I think you're 100% right here. I think that this puts the Saints, especially the 49ers, especially bringing Jenkins back in the secondary. They seem to have missed him last year in that secondary, as that secondary got a little exposed. And bringing now, if he can stay healthy, because he's playing on turf now, and he's got a history of ACL problems. So if he can stay healthy, I think this is like that offense was already like, now it's going to be like, dude, they can't be stopped. They may be the best offense in the league if Drew Brees can stay healthy.
Yeah, and Kamara at that too.
Yes, on the health point. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Joe.
Yeah, it certainly takes pressure off Michael Thomas because it was so predictable. Brees to Thomas now. I mean, Thomas he'll still getting his numbers, but yeah, I think Sanders being a good number 2 takes pressure off of Michael Thomas, and the Saints probably on paper for now they are probably the most dangerous team in the NFC.
In addition, it gives Drew Brees someone else. He was dominated in that playoff game because all he had was Michael Thomas. And just having a reliable guy that can A, beat you deep, or B, run great routes, they have that guy. Drew Brees can now throw to both sides of the field whenever the hell he wants. It's going to be scary.
Well, think about it. When he was the most successful, he had a number 2. Remember, it was Colston and then Jimmy Graham.
Yes.
Then, they had the number 2 when he was at their best level.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees is not a one-dimensional. He's not going to milk. He's not Matt Ryan, where it's Julio, and then other options. Hell, even Deshaun to a certain extent, where it's D-Hop, and then the other options. He spreads that ball around, so he needs somebody that can catch the ball. The other guys on that team more recently with the Saints have been great punt returners, but they're not my solid number.
I agree with you there. So that's going to be scary in the NFC West. I think that they're in the South. Again, we get to see Braves and Brady twice for the next 2 years. So that should be fun. Oh gosh!
Well,
just think of those weapons on the field.
Brady got 2. Well, technically 3 if you add the tight end.
Right.
But Breeze got 2.
3 if you add the running back.
Yeah, that's true
too. Can catch the ball too.
It's gonna be like 50 to 48 every time those two teams play.
Yeah, scoring games.
That's gonna be fun to watch.
It won't be a fluke game like it was with KC in LA. Although KC was real, LA Rams did that much point.
Well, LA took advantage of a horrible defense. That's all I'll say about that.
That will never happen. I was excited for that game, but I'm like, this will never happen again.
No, that was awesome.
No, absolutely not.
I don't know. Those two teams can put up a lot of points if Brady doesn't play like he's 43 and Breeze doesn't play like he's 42.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to age, but with those kind of weapons, I think they can play to their 45 as long as their arms work. The top remaining free agents in football right now, I kind of go with how we have it here. Cam Newton, I don't know if I'm putting Jameis Winston that high. I don't know that he's number 2. I think I'd go Clowney number 2.
No, I'm talking about quarterback-wise. He's the number 2 quarterback out there. It's only him and who else is out there?
Flacco.
You want Flacco over Winston?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying he's out there. You said who else is out there?
I don't even want to hear Joe Flacco's name. Oh, my God.
Oh, God. You said Flacco. I mean, you said it. I mean, come on.
What?
You said who's out there. You didn't say who belongs in the conversation.
My eyes is not lit up on this podcast. That's the last time it lit up was when Omar said, well, Damian Lillard's okay. We were both looking like, what? No. No, bro. Boy, caught me off guard with that one. Like,
you just asked who was out there. I didn't rank him higher than anybody. Like, he's not even a top 10 free agent right now.
No.
Like top 15 even. Hell, might not be top 20. Anyway,
go
ahead.
Yeah. I will say this. They did say that Jadeveon did get 2 offers, one from New York and one for Green Bay, and he turned them both down. One was for 15 and one was for 16. He's not budging off the 20.
Oh, well, he's gonna be holding out. Who's
gonna
give him 20?
Gonna pull a Le'Veon Bell. No one's gonna
is he gonna pull a Le'Veon? Because Le'Veon just didn't want to play for the team he was on. This guy thinks he's gonna sit out a year demanding something he ain't deserved yet. Hell no, he's not in that conversation. And if they pay him that, then they just ruin football for the Chiefs and everybody else trying to re-sign somebody because that dude ain't as good as anybody. At least because he's not available.
I agree.
Like, you got to play to get paid.
Somebody will get desperate. They'll pay. He'll rephrase it. He'll get desperate. They're not gonna pay him that much.
Yeah,
he'll get desperate and he'll drop that price. It's coming.
I think his cap is 17, and I don't think he deserves that.
I would give him that.
That's what I'm saying. That's
maybe
cap.
15 max.
Yeah. And I think he deserves 14. But who the hell am I? I'm hard and cheap. So he's still out there. Everson Griffin, he's still a free agent?
Yep. And I would pick him over that because at least he had double-digit sacks the last 2 years. I'd go him before I go Clowney.
And he's healthy. Like, again, everything that we ever talk about on any show is The best ability is availability, and if you're not available, you're not worth $20 million a year to play 10 games.
Correct.
Like, you're not getting $2 million a game. You're not that good. Xavier Rhodes on the cornerback position still available. Eric Berry also still available. He's a safety. And Ndamukong Suh still a free agent. I don't think Vontaze Burfict is getting a job. I just don't.
Well, someone's going to pick him up.
He might be done, huh?
I don't think any team is bringing him back. Like, he can't.
Well,
he has
I
not.
don't know.
Well, I know that, but if you bring him back, what are you going to get out of him before he's suspended? And this time, maybe indefinitely. Like, how many games are you going to get out of him?
That's a great question. Now, that's the question.
Yeah, so I
Well,
don't. I think he's done.
So I got to ask you guys a question. There's two free agents I didn't mention on that list that I thought about when I was driving home. Martavius Bryant, who he may not count because he ain't been in the league for 2 years, and Josh Gordon. Now that the NFL has changed this whole marijuana testing thing, and Josh Gordon's people say he was busted for a fourth time with marijuana in the system, although I think it's different. If this is the case, should those guys be automatically reinstated?
Bryant, yes.
Yeah.
Your boy, listen, I don't know what to say about Josh Gordon because when it was illegal, like, he didn't give a damn.
He just kept doing it.
Yeah, he was on his last opportunity every damn time. The last 3 times he got caught with this shit, and he got caught with it anyway. So I just wonder if you reinstate him, is he just gonna look for another rule that he'll break? Because I don't know that he wants to play football.
That's a good question. He may just like being down here at H-Town. He's an H-Town kid. Just like to stay on the weed.
I'm just saying, he won't obviously get suspended if he does weed again because that's in the labor agreement. But is he going to look for another reason to get suspended? Because I just don't think if you've let this, like, no one's really been that addicted to weed, okay? Like, it's dumb to get suspended for weed every year or every opportunity you get. It's dumb. So, I just don't think he likes football enough.
Remember, this also saying, I agree with you with that one because this is also the same kid that got suspended in college for weed.
Yeah, like,
it's like
I just don't think he likes football enough. I think that if he plays, he's going to end up finding another reason to get suspended because I don't think he wants to play. As long as somebody will throw him a contract out there, he'll be more than happy to sign that mug. He'll go out there and run around a couple times. But at some point, he's going to get bored and do something stupid to get suspended.
So apparently with this new CBA, I'm reading the article right now, this new CBA won't automatically reinstate Josh Gordon anyway. So I don't think it would have made no difference anyway.
Yeah. It's about who signs these guys. And, yeah.
I could see him down there in Tampa. I'm just saying as a number 3, or technically number 4, because O.J. Howard would be the number 3 at tight end. I could see that if you get him for dirt-ass cheap.
They're already trying to get Antonio Brown somehow, and he's trying to go there. That's crazy.
That was because they the correlation with him and Tom. Arians is not going to deal with AB. I'm going to tell you that right now. AB already trashed him. AB already trashed. So I know when Tom's sitting there like, hey, look, I know Arians is not afraid of the quarterback. I mean, he's talked shit to both Ben and Luck. He's like, bro, look, we brought you in. But we're not taking none of your extra friends shit. And now, if this was Gronk, okay, we would take Gronk. AB, nah, man. First of all, you got to get past. He's still going to be suspended for 8 to 10 games as soon as he gets reinstated. So it's like, why are we wasting our time? We got our receivers. We good. For him to act a fool when he don't get the ball and he's not going to get the ball.
Well, that's going to be.
You have to sit there and tell AB you're the 4th option.
They need to be looking at running backs. They should leave. They have enough weapons to catch the ball. They need to be looking for running backs. That's what I think they need if they're going to spend any more money. I think they got to look at running back.
But he'll go the this draft is heavy for running back, so I wouldn't be shocked if they go late first round, early second for a running back.
All righty, so we're gonna let that be the last word on the free agents in Tampa Bay. We're not gonna inundate ourselves there. Guess what? Let's talk a little Chiefs football. So I think what's surprising news, the Chiefs signed XFL quarterback Jordan Ta'amu to a contract today. I believe it's a 2-year contract. I like it because the kid's pretty accurate. I just don't know if he fits because he's not really a chance taker. He's a underneath quarterback, so I don't know if he fits. I would have loved to see PJ here because he does throw the ball downfield. He does take chances. He's not as accurate as Ta'amu, but I think the Chiefs got the wrong guy. I think they got him because he's the closer guy because he was in St. Louis. But I think they got the wrong guy.
So if you were going on the XFL, you already knew that PJ Walker was going to go to. He's reunited with his head coach.
Yeah.
Because if y'all didn't know, when Matt Rule was in Temple before he was with Baylor, before he was with now the Panthers, PJ Walker was his starting quarterback for 4 years at at Temple. And he did pretty good. He was all conference 2 of those years. So PJ probably was just like, oh, my coach called me. I know him. He know me. And also think about it. He has a better shot of possibly starting one day behind Teddy Bridgewater than he ever will behind Patrick Mahomes.
Well, that's true.
He's like, I'm cool. I'm cool.
I mean, it's true.
So that's why I was thinking that one.
Especially with the history of the head coach, I definitely think he's got more of a shot. I like Jordan Ta'amu. I just don't know if he's capable of running this engine one day. Because I would think with the contract they signed him for that they at least want to have him as a third quarterback. They got used to carrying a third quarterback on the active roster, especially with the extra spot now. I just don't know if he fits this offense. I don't know if he's that guy that's willing to take chances down the field that makes this offense flow in the event he ever has to start a game for the Chiefs. I just don't know if he's that guy. I mean, I would love to see him develop. Like I said, he's a very accurate quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see him in this offense, especially if we actually get a preseason.
I'd like to see that. Like you said, he's accurate. He does not have a deep ball. That's the one thing that you neglect. He does not have that deep ball.
I didn't neglect it. I said that.
Huh?
That's what I said. That was my whole case. He doesn't throw the ball down the field.
He can move, and if he's just a good spot filler for Patrick Mahomes, and he knows that, because I think in my mind, Walker, with all the confidence happening in the XFL, I think he one day thinks he can start in the NFL.
Oh, yes.
I think Jordan is like, I'm on a championship team. I'm just playing spot relief, and I can probably unseat Chad Henne.
Next year. Not this year. They're not going to give him that chance this year.
No, but some next year.
So, anyway, welcome to the kingdom, Jordan. Welcome to the world champs, or the defending world champs. You get to watch a nice ring celebration if we ever get back to football. In other free agency news, the Kansas City Chiefs.
I don't know about all that, but
I mean, you does get to see a nice ring celebration. We're going to, they're going to unveil the rings and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. For this past season, I thought you talked about it in the future. I was like, well, hold on.
Bro, come on now.
Okay, yeah,
listen,
you're right.
Pittsburgh is not even come on now. Get your quarterback off a cane before we talk about your team.
I'm not saying Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh never came out of my mouth.
In other news, the Chiefs did sign Mike Remmers. He was the starting right tackle for the Giants, which means he wasn't very good. But this is a guy that they're using to replace Cam Irvin, who they had on the books for way too much money. Now they can save a little money, fill that swing spot, that utility role, without breaking the bank. So hopefully he can start at guard better than he did at tackle. Welcome to the kingdom, Mr. Remmers. I know you're not going to be able to do as good as Steve Wisniewski, who's now a Pittsburgh Steeler, did. But if you got to play, I'm sure you can outdo Cam Ervin, because that's not hard to do. In other free agency news, the Chiefs, I think we talked about losing Kendall Fuller on Friday, and Steven Wisniewski. Jordan Lucas was signed by the Chicago Bears. So out of the guys the Chiefs have lost so far, I don't think it's that big a deal. Kendall Fuller.
Y'all didn't have any major free agents out there.
Yeah,
of course it's not a big deal.
I think the biggest problem right now is that Kendall Fuller was technically also a cornerback, and I think the only cornerback we have on the roster at the moment is what is his?
Derek West. Or whatever.
That's not his name. I'm thinking of Sharkhandrick West. Travarius Ward. That's his name. Travarius Ward, Rashad Fenton, and some guy that I hadn't even heard of, didn't even know he was on the team. So we're a little thin in the secondary. Brashad Breeland is technically a free agent. We've already lost Kendall Fuller. So we got to do something at corner. Xavier Rhodes is out there. He had a bad rep leaving Minnesota, so we might be able to get him kind of cheap. And I think Brashad Breeland wants to try to get paid now because he hasn't been. I just don't see it happening because he wasn't all that good. But I just don't know.
This is a strong corner. This is a strong cornerback draft. So if y'all looking probably to get a cornerback for cheap, y'all can probably draft 2 or 3 and be fine.
We can draft one at 32 because it needs to be a first-round pick at this point.
Yeah.
Other
you got about 7 of them out there in the first round.
Well, hopefully we get one that's good enough to start because, like I said, Travarius Ward's the only start-worthy guy on the roster right now, and he's a clear number 2 cornerback. The power rankings came out today. NFL.com put out power rankings based off of what has happened in free agency. They left the playoff teams basically unchanged, which was kind of weird for me. So it still has the Chiefs number 1, Niners number 2, Ravens 3, Saints 4, Packers 5, Titans 6, Seahawks 7, Bills 8, Eagles 9, Steelers 10. I don't know. They dropped the Patriots. That's the only playoff team they moved. So, of course, I'm going to agree the Chiefs are number 1 because, they're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. But
yeah, we know.
The rest of these guys, like Tennessee's still number 6 and Seattle's somehow number 7. Is that real?
Here's the thing. It's always about addition. It's always about subtraction before addition. Who did they lose that can really affect their team versus who did they gain that they have to get the chemistry with?
Like
New England's going to drop big time because they lost Brady. The Niners are going to drop big time.
But they didn't. That's what I'm saying. They lost Emmanuel Sanders, and they didn't drop. They traded one of their D linemen, and they didn't drop. They're still showing number 2. Joe, can you hit mute, please?
Joe, hit mute.
Sorry about that.
But here's the thing with the Niners, they didn't use their wide receivers correctly, so that's why they dropped. That's why they stay stagnant. They're a running-based team with a quarterback that still hasn't proved himself to be a consistent gunslinger. So that's why I was like, well, I can get that. If they lost Sanders in offense like y'all's or New Orleans, then yeah, it would be a factor. They don't throw the ball.
But they also traded away one of their top linemen.
Yeah, but a lot of people predicted one of those guys was going to be gone anyway because the fact is the Niners couldn't afford to pay them.
I'm sorry. Right now, to me, it's Chiefs 1, Saints 2. I would stay with the Ravens 3, but I would probably move Tampa to 4.
Yeah.
That's what I would do right now.
So Tom Brady is that big of a factor? Well, yeah, he is for that.
Right.
Team
for that team with those weapons.
Yeah, but remember, you also the one that said if Jameis can conform down to 15. Because here's the thing, Tom is not going to get you 25 touchdowns anymore.
He will now in this offense. He will.
Yeah, he will. Depending on who's the running back situation, yeah, he will.
Yeah.
But the rankings, to me, they sound about right for the most part. I've never been big on ranking during preseason because you never know what the hell will happen. You're based it off of hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, versus what you see on the field. At least with the rankings, you see what the field is. You see what's happening. Right now, you're seeing a bunch of guys that, especially in this time where Tom is not in Tampa right now playing with his team because he can't. He doesn't get an opportunity to go ahead and do anything. Same thing for Emmanuel Sanders going down to NO. Yeah, he's going to be down there to try to find a house, if anything, even though now Louisiana is the second biggest market with the coronavirus.
Yeah, I don't think he's moving down there yet.
New York. Right. So everybody's just chilling. So you know what we're doing right now? You're doing players and playing it on that and figuring it out that way because you're definitely not figuring it out in real life. There's no camps or anything. There's no OTAs. So it's all hypothetical. So when you're going off the power rankings, I'm like, okay, they're cool, but they don't really mean shit.
Yeah.
Not now in this type of thing.
They don't mean nothing, but, it's always nice that the Chiefs are still number one. Always nice. Anytime I can say that, that's a win because they're still the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions. Anyway, moving on to Pittsburgh. And happy days are here again as Big Ben, as we told you earlier this year, has started throwing, and he's talking about being young again and all that. Maybe he's got on some slim fast. Justin said he looked a little thinner. That's good. In addition, they've added former Pro Bowl tight end Eric Ebron and former Chiefs guard Steven Wisniewski. Justin, give me an outlook. How's those additions looking to what you've lost so far?
We didn't lose too much except Ramon Foster retired, so we did lose our guard, but then we gained Wisniewski for it. Actually, I found the contract. It's kind of surprising. He signed for 2 years and $2.7 million, which I thought was just must have not wanted him no more because to give him up for that much. Because we didn't pay nothing for him.
We ain't got no money.
Then you got Eric Ebron, who two factors of what I'm going to say about Eric Ebron real quick. That it could be a gift and a curse. Eric Ebron could be successful because we could get Eric Ebron from 2 years ago when Andrew Luck was throwing on the ball and Eric went to the Pro Bowl and was almost a borderline All-Pro. Or we could get Eric Ebron who got drafted through Detroit who was a bust under Matthew Stafford. So I don't know what to get, but he's a lot better than what we had. The Steelers have not had a consistent tight end threat since Heath Miller retired. We've tried Vanett. We've tried Vance McDonald, who had one great game and then a bunch of subpar games. So if capitalized right, because Ben has stopped throwing to the tight end ever since he left. So if used right, then he could revitalize his career, meaning Ebron. So we'll see. We do have Derek Watt, so we do now have another fullback that can block. The problem is last year we had Roosevelt Nix who was hurt, so we didn't have our fullback blocking for Connor. And Connor's more successful with having a fullback blocking versus one-on-one, not Levy.
That's cute that you're talking about fullbacks.
Bro, you built like one. You can play fullback now.
That's fine, but they don't exist anymore except for San Francisco.
And look how successful their run game was with a fullback.
Great.
And I'm just saying, a fullback, if your run game needs a fullback, and if you got a strong game, you guys don't have a run game. Y'all game was passing. Y'all 70-30 with passing more than running.
60-40. Don't do that.
Really?
We were only 70-30 when our defense sucked. The reason we won the Super Bowl is because we got away from 70-30.
So, anyways, we're going to pass that. Y'all are a passing team. Let's keep it at that. Y'all are
why were Mahomes' numbers down? It wasn't because he was injured for a couple games. They were a more balanced team.
Motion, passing team.
Whatever.
Leave it at that. We'll debate that all summer long.
The guy that should have won the Super Bowl MVP was because he was running the ball and catching the ball. We're a balanced team.
Can you say the word catching?
running and catching. He had over 100 yards rushing. He had like 120 yards rushing.
But the fact of the matter is, back to the Steelers, with motion catching team with y'all. But in the same note, we'll see how it works with all of them. Again, it's still based off of a good. We still need a. We're going to be heavy in the draft, although we did already trade one player for Chris Worley. We traded our 5th for Worley to get a 7th. But we're going to be heavy in this year's draft. So that's where our backup quarterback. Basically, Ben's heir apparent because it ain't Duck and Mason, and then the other two, another receiver because we need a possession receiver. Right now, free agents, there's no possession receivers out there. Everybody's a speedster that can't catch. Of course, I want a running back. There's 4 running backs I would love the Steelers to get that probably will be available. Let's hope they are going to be there. So we'll see.
Okay, well. I do think you need a running back. I don't think that you can rely on James Conner. So I agree there. You lost Artie Burns, but I didn't seem to care for him too much.
Artie Burns was a bust. Please move on with that one. Don't ever bring up Artie Burns again. He was a bust.
Who drafts a quarterback named Burns? Like, who does that? Like, you're asking for it.
Still, he was a bust.
But you're asking for it. Why would you draft that's like drafting a cornerback named Toast. Just why do it? Like, seriously.
Are you drinking?
No, I'm not drinking. I'm just saying.
What the hell that got to do with anything?
I would never have drafted a cornerback with the last name Burns. I wouldn't have done it. And now you're calling him a bust. But y'all drafted him.
He was a bust when I didn't. Okay, let's be clear. If you knew me when they drafted Artie Burns in 2015, 2016, I hated the pick because the kid they should have drafted was a local kid here who I've seen numerous occasions named William Jackson. Since he went up and got him, since he traded up 2 picks to get above the Steelers to draft William Jackson at cornerback, we selected Artie Burns because for whatever reason, Mike Tomlin likes multiple position players. Artie can play corner, but Artie was a beast to use on special teams, and that's what Tomlin got. And he was more based for special teams as probably a 3rd-round pick or less than he was a 1st-round pick at corner. His first game he got dumpster juiced on against Dez Bryant. Hell, the kid didn't even play. He was hurt halfway.
But hold on, you making it like Dez Bryant is a bum.
No. What Dez Bryant did to him very first play is destroyed him. Very first play.
But you're acting like Dez Bryant is a bum.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. The kid read the play wrong, and Dez was wise.
It happens.
It wasn't. Anyway.
You remember how the Chiefs started the championship game? Like, the Texans had a receiver wide the hell open downfield. It happened.
The kid can't read coverage, and he still can't read coverage.
Listen.
He couldn't read it then. He can't read it now. He's like Jacoby Brissett on defense.
So are y'all drafting Ben Roethlisberger's replacement?
We have no choice.
You say that, but Cam Newton's available.
We don't have the money for Cam.
James Winston is available.
We don't have the money for James Winston. You're talking about guys that are not going to willing to take a pay. If they're getting paid $19 and $20 a year and they're still wanting that, they're not going to take a $5 million.
So here's my question.
If they do, then one of them will be in Pittsburgh. A lot of people have linked James Winston to Pittsburgh, but I don't see it because they won't pay him.
Here's my question. Why wouldn't you ask Ben to retire for one of those guys?
Because Ben has too much dead money on the table.
Not if he retires. I said retires. Why don't you ask Ben to retire for one of those guys?
You do know on his contract he has a prestige contract, which means if he retires, you still have to pay him.
Yeah, they can then restructure that. Like, they can figure that out to where you pay him like $2 million a year for the next 20 years to get him paid.
He just did the restructuring. You can only know the CBA. If a CBA in the NFL, a CBA basically states you can only restructure a contract once per season.
But if Ben retires in the middle of the contract, the Steelers don't owe him anything.
They can't. Yes, they do. We had to pay. Oh, please don't do this. Don't go there with me with this one because we had to pay Troy. We still had to pay Hines. We were probably paying Ramon Foster.
He's not retiring for injury. if Ben retires, if they just talk him into retirement,
they still have to pay.
They
him.
don't
How
have to
many
pay.
times
It
have
won't.
you had a guy
It
retire
won't
from
count
the
against
team?
the cap. That's the same
It will
thing.
count against
No,
the
it
cap
won't.
because the cap.
Only if you cut him. If you mark them as reserve, retire, it does not count against the cap. If you mark, why do you think they designate people? The same reason they just designated whatchamacallit, your injured guy. What's his name? Ryan Shazier. The same reason they just designated him. If you mark it reserve, retire, your insurance pays for it, not counting against your cap.
Well, one, Ben is against the cap. They've been discussing this in Pittsburgh for the last 2 weeks. Trust me, I've been hearing it for 2 weeks on the media blog. They've been having that discussion about if we can force Ben to retire like we did Hines and like we did Troy, he will save against. No, he won't. It's still the dead money. So why not let him play off his dead money? The only great thing is Ben's off his dead money this year. So next year, they can restructure, it'll be fine. Next year, he doesn't have to restructure. We can say, Ben, retire, bye, because you're not getting paid shit regardless. This year, you might as well let him play unless we can get one hell of a deal because he's too much on the books for dead money. I've been trying to explain this to you for 2 weeks now. He's on the books for dead money regardless. It's sealed because of his contract. Colbert did a horrible contract when he gave him his extension. So basically, even retirement doesn't even make any damn sense because we're still paying him like he's the top 5 quarterback in the league, which he's not. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They did this with Troy several years ago, and Troy was still on the books for 2 years. Hines was on the books for 4, but Hines and Troy's contract wasn't as stagnant to the organization as Ben did. So
you're stuck with Ben.
James, pretty much, and I hope you can understand that for the last motherfucking time. We're stuck. If Cam and Jameis comes, I would take the chance and just eat the dead money like we did with AB. The problem is that the Steelers don't want to keep eating dead money over. We've done it 3 seasons in a row. We did it this year with Ben. We did it last year with AB. And we did it the year before with, it was a defensive player we did. And we were eating dead money for Harrison. And we were still paying Harrison, although he went to New England. We were still paying his deal. The Steelers are one thing they're notorious for is giving these long extended thank you for being a Steeler contracts, which if they do retire, we're still paying them, but we're paying them a massive amount of money if the structure runs. Colbert really has faith in Ben more than anybody in the NFL, anybody that knows football and is paying too much money. So regardless, we might as well let him play. If he gets hurt, at least on an injury tip, at least we can get a compensation pick on the draft. Yes, do I want to see Cam or Jameis? Wildly enough, yeah. In Pittsburgh, yeah. Especially the fact is our record with black quarterbacks is somewhat successful, but it always gets turned down to another white quarterback. We can go in actually for years, and Steelers people know that. But again, we stuck with Ben. So ride or die, here we go.
Well, good luck with that, especially considering what he counts against your cap.
You know this.
What he counts against your cap, like even if you cut him next year, you still got $22 million in dead money.
No, if we cut him next year, he's not any. This is his last year with dead money, buddy.
No, I'm looking at his contract right now.
And I'm looking at the restructure of his contract right now.
I'm looking at with the restructure. His cap hit next year is 41. His dead cap is 22.
But they can space it off of that now. Here's the thing. They can't space it off the contract. So I'm telling you, now, coming next year, they can go ahead. If he retires tomorrow, because at the start of the next season, they can do it. They can do a spread. Trust me.
This contract I'm literally looking at his contract, and it's as
I'll
of.
send you the link.
I'm looking at his contract on Sports Track.
I'll send you.
It tells me.
Telling you the details.
Yes,
not the contract
it's breaking down his
contract.
His dead cap hit next year is 22.
Right, I know, but I'm trying to tell you how they restructured the contract. When Ben re-signed and when they talked about the restructure 2 weeks ago, I'm telling you what happened. I'm telling you at the press conference of what they were talking about. Basically, every person in Pittsburgh is hoping that Ben doesn't get hurt this year because next year we can go ahead and we can move him out. I'm just trying to tell you.
You're gonna move him out because you're not gonna carry him for 41, but you're gonna take that cap hit.
Okay, we'll see.
You're gonna take that cap hit. That's happening.
Okay.
What else y'all had?
You had the Texans. We needed to move on.
No, I'm asking you running back. You said you're drafting a running back.
Look at our running backs right now. We have Benny Snell. We have James. Benny Snell is only in his first year, so he hasn't proven anything. We have Samuels. Jalen Samuels is probably more of an H-back. He's not a running back. He was an H-back in college, so he can probably be more of a full/H-back. Hell, you can probably put him at tight end. And then, of course, Connor. So running back would be a better option because we need a more 100% guy. Benny Snell is more of your Alvin Kamara, where we would probably need a more stronger, tighter back.
So y'all drafted Snell in what round last year?
We drafted Snell in the 4th.
And Connor was like a 6th or undrafted, or how'd that go?
No, he was 3rd.
Okay, so you're gonna draft 3rd again?
Possibly.
Or are y'all gonna try to draft earlier and actually fill the spot?
Why would we draft? Think about it. Why would we draft earlier when we don't have success in drafting earlier? Le'Veon Bell was a 3rd-round pick. Willie Parker was a 5th-round pick. The only number one pick we had wasn't even drafted by us, was Jerome Bettis. Going back to even Barry Foster was a 5th-round pick. The Steelers are not good with drafting high. They're more drafted in middle tier because we know how our offense is working. Instead of going off of gimmick backs or going off of whatever the equivalent of speed or whatever the hell it is, we know what fits our system. And typically those are middle-round backs. That's why I was kind of disappointed when Snell didn't do what he needed to do. But Snell is learning the system. I mean, again, he was all SEC, actually honorable mention All-American, so we'll see what it is, but we do need another back. I kind of like the kid from Wisconsin, Jonathan Taylor, who is a more ground and pound back, to go ahead and mess with Benny Snell, who is more of a scat back.
Well, there's your outlook, and you said you also need a speed receiver. Where are you finding that at?
Well, have you seen the draft? This draft is deep with receivers. No, I'm saying this draft is deep with receivers. You can go possibly 5th round and get the kid from Clemson, T. Higgins. Or you can go to, there's a kid in Minnesota that I like. He's a monster. This draft is deep. Even the kid in Colorado who was recruited by your guy, if y'all don't pick him. Bernard is his name, if I'm not mistaken, but he was one of Eric Bieniemy's last recruits before Aaron Dirty got fired. That's a 6'3" guy that has speed, has hands, but he's not great in speed. We need a guy that can. We have a speedster, so that's James Washington. We need another guy that's willing to go in the middle, just like Juju, but that's more of a force. Juju, at this point, I'm worried about him not being durable, because he's had 2 different seasons where he couldn't stay healthy. But again, last year I'm gonna give it as a fluke because he was the number 1, so he's taking all the hits. No AB, they coming after him one way or another. So we have options. I again think this is a deep draft as far as wide receivers is concerned. Plus we have Deontay Johnson, and I'm sorry I keep forgetting about him. He did a hell of a job. Had 565 yards. Actually was special team player of. Actually got drafted, went to the Pro Bowl as a special teams player for kick returner, or he was an alternate. So we have him, but I still want another receiver. If we got Ben back, we need somebody that can spread the ball. And we didn't spread the ball at all last year. It was just like kind of one-dimensional. So if you got Ebram, you got Juju, you got James Washington, you got Deontay Johnson, one more receiver looks like what we had with the 3 Bs, although we don't have an Antonio Brown as of right now. You never know what'll happen in the draft, but we need those options.
You got a lot of faith in those guys. Speaking of a lot of faith, the Texans really quiet since the DeAndre Hopkins trade. I guess the big news out of Houston is Deshaun Watson quoting Drake on Twitter. Is that basically the most news they've had since the DeAndre Hopkins trade?
Joe, I'm gonna let you jump on the Texans one for this one. You still there?
I think we lost him and he sent us a text.
Okay. As far as the Texans are concerned, this is what's scary. They haven't done anything. You had the big news trade with DeAndre, but didn't do anything after that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you as far as that's concerned. I just know it's just not working as far as that aspect is concerned.
Well, they brought in Randall Cobb as a slot.
Bro, he's a journeyman now.
Yeah, but he still had 50 catches last year and 800 yards. So that was in Dallas. So I mean,
with a better line, not a better quarterback, but at least you had a quarterback that had time to throw.
But right now, he's the number one receiver. Unless something changes.
And that's scary because Randall Cobb ain't been to a Pro Bowl but one time, and that was like 2011, 2012, and that's your number one?
Yeah, I think it was like 2014 was his Pro Bowl year when he had 91 catches, 1,200 yards. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, and that was also the year I think Jordy Nelson got hurt. So, I mean, he just stepped up to the plate.
Oh, there you go. He got to step up.
When Adams came in, well, you gotta look at it differently now. You're talking about years. 8-year difference in the NFL is nothing to sneeze at.
Oh, I know. And he'll be 30 this year. This is the year 30 season.
He's only turning 30?
He's only turning 30.
Yeah, man, I feel like he's been in the league forever.
He's been in the league since 2011. He's at 21 years old. He's turning 30.
I'm just not. If the Texans is going to bank off of Randall Cobb,
I mean they don't really have a draft, so
that's my thing. I think they only had five. They had 5 picks in the draft.
So they don't have a choice. Like he's their number one unless they go out and sign. What receivers left worth mentioning?
The only one I've seen left now is Brashard Perriman.
Oh God!
That's it.
Then they're screwed.
Yeah, he can't catch. I mean, he had an okay season a couple years. I think last year, wherever he was last year. But when he was in Baltimore, he was horrible.
Hey.
I don't see anything else out there. They're going to probably have to hit the draft hard, and they got to hope that although I said this is a deep wide receiver draft. They got to hope those wide receivers are still there.
Yeah.
Because the Texans, if I'm not mistaken, they have they have 2 number 2s now. So they can make an impact, but still, to get D-Hop's production is almost impossible.
It ain't almost impossible. Like, that chemistry took a while to build. So that is not happening to replace that production. But they do need to find a number one receiver from somewhere.
And in this year's draft, I mean, they could draft a wide receiver, but all the top guys, like if they had a first round pick, I'd be like, all right, cool, they can draft somebody. They got Judy they got the 3 boys, 3 coming out of Alabama, 2 coming out of Clemson. So there's weapons, but again, where you draft counts. And free agency's there, and Bill O'Brien has basically traded everybody and their mama, so there's nothing out there to trade. That's not solid. And then let's bring up another factor. Them losing DJ Reader didn't help their defense either. Yeah, you brought Hargraves back. That's cool. All right. But you lose a substantial piece to that line, especially when you got JJ and Whitney Merciless, your 2 Pro Bowl ends / OLBs in Merciless case, coming off of injury. I'm sorry. I'm not sold on the Texans. If they went 10-6 this year, if I was a betting, take that back. I'm sorry. Brashard Perriman is off the market. He is now a Jet.
So they're going to use either the 40th or the 57th pick in the draft, you think, for receiver?
They have to.
And that guy probably won't be a number 1 receiver.
No, probably not.
So Deshaun Watson.
You go after Josh Gordon?
Yeah, or Antonio Brown.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
I would say this: you definitely don't want to go get Antonio
well, they're
Brown
not.
because
If they just traded away D-Hop, there's no way in West Hill they're going to get Antonio Brown or Josh Gordon.
He would be their number one. Okay, the top two receivers left right now in free agency are
I couldn't even get
your
down
guy,
there. So
Demarcus Robinson.
Yeah. Nobody's
Danny
number
Amendola.
one. No.
Yeah. Danny Amendola, Corey Coleman, and Taylor Gabriel and Geronimo. Well, Demaryius Thomas is out there.
Yeah. So there's no number one receiver available, is what I'm hearing. And with their 2 second-round picks, I don't think they're going to get a number one receiver in the draft unless they find a diamond where everyone else saw the rough. I think you keep going back to the DJ Reader loss because it's going to be huge. So they got to be looking to fill that void as well. The Texans are losing the offseason right now in Bill O'Brien's first official offseason as the general manager. And if the Texans don't get it together, even with Uncle Phil out in Indianapolis, I think the Colts should have enough talent to overtake them. If they don't figure out a number one receiver and a way to replace DJ Reader, those two things are synonymous. That has to happen for the Texans to repeat as the AFC South champions.
That is agreed, but I really think Bill O'Brien has made this from this offseason alone. They've gone from being 10-6 to right now, in my eyes, I see a 7-9 team.
Yeah,
because they didn't do anything to get better, and this is the whole point of free agency is to get people to get better. You don't trade your top players for chicken scraps. I'm sorry.
Well, the good news is 7-9 might get you in the playoffs this year because there's an extra playoff team from each conference, so it may get you there. It may not. Coming up Friday,
should be fired if he
does. I agree with you, but you know Cal isn't going to do that. Coming up on Friday, we're going to talk more Chiefs. I think, Justin, we finally get to talk draft. Start talking draft.
We need to. Yeah, it's time. We'll be a month into the draft at this point. The draft is the 23rd to the 25th of April, so we'll be 1 month to the draft. So it's time to talk that. Casey's going to actually give me some draft knowledge that he may try to do. We'll see.
Whatever. And your boy just texted in, Texas ain't going to win the AFC South anymore. That is from Joe Swish. So we will talk to you guys on Friday at 7:30. Until then, I'm Casey Reginald Jr.
Man, J-Dub in the building.
This has been UnderDawg Sportz.